built Shin Turker, and is that a, yeah, Test Turker? Maybe it looks like he's going to attack. Yes, GoogleFrog's expansion there. He's going to tap GoogleFrog's RP. However, it will be too little too late. GoogleFrog already has a substantially sized force, and King John will not be able to counter it. Not with his Zion Pulses. However, Zion Pulses are good against frigates. They will be able to kill the frigates very quickly. Further back in time, there's only so much they can change further back in time, because they only have so much chrono energy. It takes several doses of chrono energy just to order a few units around and change the slightest thing. So close to the unplayable part. Then here we go, we're watching the final, very likely the final version of the battle here. And it... oh, King John might just win this. He's got 2 Zion units out. And test units. It looks very good for King John. And so good that GoogleFrog is retreating. It might be that in a previous iteration of that battle, GoogleFrog lost, and so he decided to go back and withdraw his forces as early as he could. But given chrono energy restrictions, he could only withdraw his units after having lost as much of his army as he could get. Though now, this battle does not look good for King John. Turker versus Mars. This is going to be another one of those very slow matchups. They're both not very good against the opposites. However, Mars has considerably low attack against air compared to the Shin Turker against ground. This actually looks very good for King John. However, GoogleFrog has a cruiser out. Cruisers are very, very, very powerful units. However, they don't have a lot of HP, but they do have a nuke ability. However, GoogleFrog has not equipped a nuke on this heavy cruiser, so that will not be coming into play. Let's just go back and see exactly what happened. So, King John came in, he's tapping GoogleFrog's resource processors. Just sitting there, tapping and destroying them. Meanwhile, GoogleFrog moves 2 heavy cruisers out. And it looks like King John destroys one of them. And the other manages to finish off King John's units. Or maybe not. Wow. Okay, yes, King John has lost this. And so this is what happened. Meanwhile though, King John did manage to destroy GoogleFrog's RPs except for one, and managed to tap them for quite a while, which would have dropped GoogleFrog's resources quite a bit. This is actually looking really well for King John. However, GoogleFrog does have a heavy cruiser and tanks out. And now a frigate. Let's just see what King John does, or did do. King John attacks GoogleFrog's RPs as they exit the base. And see, this is what I meant before. You see how all his boxes in his base are completely, like, void of resources. GoogleFrog is going to run out of resources very quickly now if he cannot expand, which is not going to be likely considering he doesn't have the resources to expand. And to make matters worse for GoogleFrog, King John now has a slip here. King John is harvesting resources all over the map, like even in his base to some degree. Meanwhile, GoogleFrog only has on his 2-side expansions. Is it possible for GoogleFrog to turn things around? We'll see. Also, you may not have noticed earlier, but King John did jump back in time. His view went from around here to around here where I am now. It's very likely he just chronoported these units back in time. Go back. See how there's some units? There's this unit. I thought I saw too early. I may have been mistaken. But he chronoported this unit back in time. And managed to destroy GoogleFrog's tank, one of his tanks, and weaken the other tank. Who knows how this will change the battles in the future? As we all know, the butterfly effect, as it's called. The slightest changes in the timeline can change anything within the distant future. A unit with less health or a single unit missing may change the entire course of the battle. Let's see what they're doing. Though it looks like the Q plasma. Aha! And he just sent more units back in time. And he sent them back to the edge of the time wave, so that they will not be propagated until the next time wave. However, it might be possible that he already propagated them forward. I don't want to say, because it may warn GoogleFrog, because as an observer, I can affect the timeline simply by viewing events. And I don't want to do this, because this would be unfair to either or both of the players. And give either of them forewarning of the other person's plan, or it even change the course of events as a direct result of. Though it looks like King John doesn't have many units at this point in time, he's chronoporting them all back in time to destroy GoogleFrog. And now, GoogleFrog himself is setting up a chronoporter and a slingshot. I'm not sure why he's building a slingshot there, but I guess we'll find out if he ever has time enough to use it. Though meanwhile, at this point in time, GoogleFrog is attacking King John's base. Though given all the incursions King John has made into the past, it may not actually change the result, because any number of these units could be chrono ghosts, that is, that they'll disappear when one of the time waves passes by. So if we go back here, just in front of the time wave, and watch these units. See, they all just died, and so did GoogleFrog's base. There is very little GoogleFrog can do now, unless somewhere in the future he manages to chronoport units back and change the outcome. However, I don't think this is likely. In the green time wave here, he has nothing. There's nothing he can do. He has very little time to go back, which is very funny considering in this universe, in this timeline, GoogleFrog has won. He's completely destroyed King John. However, in the time wave and timeline that's coming up behind him, he has nothing. I wonder what King John's gonna do. I wonder if GoogleFrog's going to throw down the good game. Or what? Yes, GoogleFrog threw down the good game. That was quite an interesting game, that one. A lot more interesting than the last game. GoogleFrog did well. He did his typical rush, though I don't think he held it as long as he usually does. Usually I think he sends about 5 more lancers just to continually molest the other player, force him to spend resources and time on defense. And trust me, this does mean a lot. Time, like a person's personal attention to a matter, is one of the most valuable resources in Achron. So, forcing a player to spend their own personal time to counter a rush is one of the most effective and powerful things you can do. Because while they're distracted and wasting their time on something, you can be out spending your chrono energy on other things. Anyway, I hope you like this game, and hope to see you next time. Enjoy.